Everybody, I'm DJ. That's Thor. Welcome. All right. Well, today we're going to spend some time and talk about, well, a couple of things. One, this is kind of impromptu as far as lives go. So I'm going to just kind of let this flow as it goes. But I wanted to give an update about some things going on with me because I'm getting some questions like, DJ, what are you doing? Uh, and that's a complicated thing to answer right now. So I thought maybe it'd just be easier to go live. But also, I kind of want to introduce the concept of, or reintroduce the concept, I should say, of some coaching office hours. And so, for those that join me live, you'll have an opportunity to come on the stage with me or just ask questions in chat, and I can just kind of walk through those kind of things. But right now, really want to focus in for this week in kind of the IT career development space. And so, if you're working in information technology, or you manage people in information technology, or something along those lines, you are in the right place today. So let's get into this a little bit. So, for those of you that don't know, which if you're watching this, especially live, the odds of that not knowing who I am is pretty low, but you never know. So I'll introduce myself. Again, my name is DJ Eshelman. I currently hail from Franklin, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville and is, frankly, one of the best places on earth. We love it here. And like I said, that's Thor. His brother Loki is around here somewhere, along with my wife. Uh, but who knows? Maybe they'll be featured today, maybe not. But I have been a IT consultant for many, many years. In fact, what I'm most known for is being in the Citrix world, where I wonder if I have any photos up here. I don't think so. I can just show you here. So in 2019, I started a project that I called the Citrix Hero Community. It later became into a book called Be a Citrix Hero, which is one of the things we'll be talking about today. But that was my first foray into that. I know I'm skipping ahead quite a bit. You can kind of see behind me, there's another book. I have a copy here because we're going to be talking about this today. Just Do This is a method of working in information technology that I have been talking more and more about, because the more and more I've gotten into this, the more I realize that some of the skill sets that I have developed or learned over the years are not really being taught, which is really, spoiler alert, the focus of what I'm doing. But to back up a little bit, like I said, I am an IT consultant. I'm known for a lot of time traveling the world and doing work with Citrix Technologies and helping people with that, as far as companies of pretty much all sizes. I started out in the early 2000s servicing smaller companies, and then grew into working with world-class consulting organizations, including Citrix themselves. Actually, that's been kind of what my bread and butter has been, working with them. I can't hear the meowing, but Thor is wondering why I'm not over there snuggling at him. So I'm going to take a quick moment and give my cat a little bit of scratches, because he likes it. Yes, kitty scratch moment is done. So, yeah, I like to distract myself. It's just part of the game here. So, what I would say about as far as my career and things like that is that one of the things I noticed early on is that I was usually hired to do work that others probably could be doing. They just lacked something. And what I found in most cases, and I would say easily 75% or more of the cases that I was encountering, he is relentless today. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just get him near me so he's less neurotic. There we go. There we go. Give him snuggles while we talk here. So, as I was saying, about, I would say 70-80% of the times that I was going out to do work for organizations, the reason I was there had nothing to do with the skill sets of the employees that I was there working with. A lot of times it was they knew the technology just fine or could do it just fine. The problem is that they lacked a either a confidence or a methodology, or in some cases it was just like they wanted the vendor to do it, so they were assured, you know, that it was done properly. So I can't speak today to any of that part of it. Like if a consultant needs to be done to or hired to meet some sort of criteria with the company itself. But what I can speak to is the other portions of that, which are a lack of confidence and a lack of methodology. And I find in my travels that that lack of methodology is actually one of the primary things that are keeping people back, that are keeping their employers from feeling confident in their abilities to start, manage, complete, and maintain projects of multiple different types. And what I've originally started doing was teaching people how to do this within the Citrix realm, right? And again, in the process of talking with people and seeing what works and what doesn't, but also kind of doing some introspection, what I've been finding is that there's a overall methodology for, let's call it IT services, that I have been helping people understand for the last 3 years now. And the more I dive into it, the more I realize that the learning of that, understanding those kind of things, or just not even understanding, implementing those methodologies, really are key to being successful in information technology, regardless of what pathway you're down. In other words, I can say in my life that I would apply the same methodology to early on in my career when I was helping people migrate email boxes to Microsoft Exchange. Is that still a valid skill set for me as far as the Exchange stuff goes? No, absolutely not. But the methodology and the lessons learned from that I've been able to apply have been applicable elsewhere in my life. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about when I say those kind of things. And some people refer to them as soft skills. If that's the way your management approaches that, this is one of those scenarios where it's good to learn what your management does approach it with, because for what I'm going to be telling you heard about a little bit, that is actually really key, that you know what they consider to be, those kind of skills. If it's soft skills, if it's acumen, if it's just a methodology, whatever that looks like in your world, get to know that, because we want to help you grow in that. That's what I'm going to be talking about today, is some opportunities for that, kind of some craziness that I have going on that I want to share with you. So basically what this means is that I've started to do a lot more of that. Along those same lines, in kind of the similar kind of side by side kind of notion, is coaching. I actually changed my Twitter handle to the Citrix Coach in, I want to say, 2018. But back then, I didn't quite have a handle on what people were actually needing, and the the title kind of implies that I coach technology, like I coach them as technology. It's one of the reasons why I really need to change my Twitter handle if I ever go back. I'm sorry, is it X now? Whatever. If I ever go back on that platform for real, and instead of just poking around at it on occasion, I actually do need to look at changing that. But we'll get there, I'm sure. But when it comes to coaching, what I really found that my area of passion was in helping people to not only grasp a skill set, but to be able to say, what can I learn from that skill set? That's part of it. The other part of it that I really found was that people have dreams that are unrealized. They have areas in their lives where they're working, but they don't know why. Where they have things they would rather be doing with their time, and they have no direction in their lives. And so a lot of people will call this life coaching. And I'm sure there's other phrases for it. Again, it's kind of just finding what people use and just morphing to that. But by and large, I do call it, that kind of the life success coaching, which is what I kind of term myself, because what I have come to realize is that if you just coach in a skill set, you be like an agile coach, for example. Well, that doesn't really work for me because I'm not here to teach a very specific skill set. I'm here to bring you into a place where you are happier in your life, where you are more successful in your life. You know, my my cat is very happy most of the time, but he can't be coached because he's a kitty. And kitties can't be coached, but people can. And so that is why I started offering coaching to a lot of people. Now that's taken on various forms. As you have probably guessed, I am a independent entrepreneur, which I have been for many years. In fact, over the past, wow, I would say since about 2009, I have spent time working directly for employers, maybe a total of a year and a half. No, that's not. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. That's not true. I forgot one. Uh, so maybe about 2 years total over the course of 2009 to 2023 now. The rest of that time has been completely independent, and I'm just subbing my services to others, or I am just being that entrepreneur. So I have on occasion offered coaching to other entrepreneurs, and that is something that I've still do a little bit of today. It's not been a focus, but it is something that it is offered, I guess you could say. But when it comes to the IT world, what I really want to do is focus in on people's careers and how to grow that. And over the years, I've developed a overall, I guess, a kind of a sub methodology, if you will. And what I've noticed is that there are four key areas that need to be addressed within career growth, specifically within IT, but this applies to other areas and other careers, as you can see. One is, yeah, mastery, that tech mastery, what learning what you know, what you want to be passionate about, and growing in that knowledge until you are an authority in that space, and progressing along that line. That is an element of coaching and teaching and community that I'm really focused in on. So there is that aspect of things. But what I would say is more from the lines of, let's help you discover that and grow within that, rather than me just being the one teaching you that, because that's a very limited space for me to be in. You would have to be within a technology that I know well. And spoiler alert, a lot of these technologies, as they're growing, I am not growing as rapidly as I need to be an authority in those spaces. What I am is passionate enough to know what to look for and things like that, and when to know, I need to bring somebody else in on this. And so another element of mastery is doing what I guess, a neighbor, friend, colleague, person of mine here in Franklin would say, John Acuff. And he says sometimes it's good to borrow somebody else's diploma. It's not something you'll hear me say every now and then, because I think it's a brilliant observation of sometimes that mastery comes in knowing when to engage others in that and kind of borrow their authority for a while, and be okay with that. Um, it's not like an artist where it's like you create things and it's the one thing you can do. We get stuck in that sometimes in the IT world, but the reality is we're dealing with systems that are, yes, dynamic and can have unique things, but by and large, the use cases tend to be very similar, and definitely the software tends to be kind of well known across the board, where certain things are patterns that work. So borrowing other people's authority is a big thing with mastery, and that's why I coach that quite often. Is to have that sense of of group knowledge, I guess you could say, instead of focusing in on what you only know or what you can only figure out, because that doesn't scale well. Along that line, the other M word that is number two is that sense of mentoring, which is twofold in your career growth. One is when you are being mentored, and learning how to be a good mentee is actually really key for a lot in life. I would say for me, it has been a challenge at times, because especially as I've kind of grown in my own authority where people are looking to me to know things. It has been harder and harder for me to remember how to be mentored by others, but yeah, it's something that I continue to do. In fact, I always say a coach should always have a coach, and so that's a thing with me is making sure that I've got somebody in my life that's either coaching me actively or mentoring me, or just educating me in general. Um, Whatever works for that season of life, but I kind of prefer the coaching, to be honest with you. But that's a different story. We'll get into that. But the mentoring thing is when you really have someone that is uh, guiding you towards a specific area of success in your life. That would mean, in some cases, that's somebody at your work that is, kind of taking you under their wing, so to speak, and getting to the point where they can um, uh, be helpful to you, sort of thing, in growing your career and letting you know what's expected of you. Or yeah, it can be a lot of things. Sometimes it is just somebody who is, seeing what's going on in your life. They've been there, they've done that kind of thing, and they can help you with that. And then, honestly, as you progress along your career path or your success path, as I sometimes will call it, really what you want to do here is get to the point of being a mentor. And so one of the ways I've found it's actually, interestingly enough, a great way to learn how to be mentored is to mentor. And so it is kind of funny to see, what works for other people, and then you apply that for yourself, and vice versa. Um, Goodness, this one, I swear, he's just being so cute today. He's like patting me on the back as he's sitting behind me. Uh, Good to have you along, Thor. Good to have you with us. So the other two areas, one is super important. In fact, I probably should put this number one at all times, but I always mix it up. The other M word that's kind of a key in our number three today would be mindset. And this is really where I think a lot of people in information technology are very, 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 very lacking. Um, in fact, some people that are in my circle, if you will, fight negative attitudes and fight with a position of scarcity in their lives, and they just are always negative about everything. Well, that's not a good mindset, is it? So what I say to people all the time is that you will not rise to the occasion. You will only rise to your level of preparedness. So if your mind is always on negative things, you won't just suddenly snap out of it when the time comes. People think that that's possible, and our let's get nerdy here. Scientifically, it is not possible. Your brain doesn't do that, and so it's really important to have a focus on increasing your mindset in that way of saying, I'm going to be focused on positive things, yes, but also really just having a orientation towards positive outcomes. And I'm not trying to say, blowing sunshine up where or anything like that. It's not really what I'm after here. What I'm saying is that the more you can see growth in your life, the more growth will happen. There's a fantastic, take a half hour and do a daily listen for a while, like 30 days or something like that, of Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret. So it's a great, great little free thing you can find on YouTube, and I think we'll probably be doing something with it in our group. I'll be telling you about here. And actually, I just realized I might as well just put this up on the screen for you. So while I'm talking, you can go check this out. I'll talk about it later, but I might as well put it up on the screen there for you, just in case you're tuning in temporarily, and I don't want you to miss this. It's a big deal. So anyway, let's get back to it. So as far as mindset goes, it really is a key differentiator with those that have been successful in their careers and those that haven't been, is mindset. Mindset is what keeps you from just falling into position after position and really being the one that's actually in control of your career and your future. That's why that's so key. That's why I have that as a key focus area for my overall coaching and what we do here at Thrive IT. And then, so just to recap, we've said mastery, we've said mentoring, we've said mindset. Well, what's that fourth thing? What could that possibly be? Um, and I always welcome chat messages if somebody wants to take a wild guess as to what the fourth would be. But I just realized I think I already have all these up on the screen somewhere, but that's okay. I'll just do this another time. So the other M word is methodology. In other words, just what I was saying before about needing to have that orientation towards a way to apply your knowledge. So it's not just about the things you know; it really does become about the kind of things that you can do um, and apply those knowledge in a meaningful way. So with methodology, there are, I guess I just like fours, and I like easy to remember words when it comes to methodology. In fact, I just gave a nice big thing about. Hey, in fact, here, let me do this. I've actually got a slide deck sitting here doing nothing, so I might as well just bring this up. So a methodology for me has four phases. So it is a matter of understand, plan, change, and maintain. And so, in other words, when it comes to this kind of things, we have just goals that are based out of every project or every change that we're making, no matter what it is, big or small. We just learn to orient ourselves towards this methodology. And so, the first thing we always want to do is understand, right? We always want to say, okay, what kind of things do I need to know to be successful here? This is where we're defining things like success criteria. Okay, what do we need to know to actually be successful? What do the users that are using this need? What does the business need out of this? What kind of things that are being demanded of this that need to be considered? Like something as simple as a Windows update, deploying that across your organization, for example. Well, understanding means you know what is to be done, why it's to be done, and when it needs to be done. There's all these criteria that you put into place, but really it is all gathering that up first and not having to like do this midstream. That's the thing you want to do to really get more risk in your life is to just do it too fast. And so getting in a process of slowing down enough to do this over time becomes quicker, but this is the thing. So the next thing you want to do is get into the plan phase. And so that's the goal of that is to have a plan. Weird, huh? That's just like a good way to say this. So whether that means project planning, whether that means a written design, whether that means a combination thereof, whatever that looks like in your life or your career or your project, having a plan and seeing how that matches. Now, in the process of that, what you might find is that this plan has some flaws in it. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to say, okay, well, let's go back to understand and make sure we've got everything nailed down here. Now that we've been thinking more about this, let's pause, stop, and go back until we're confident that we've met this goal. If there's any doubts, go back. That's the way this methodology works. So once you have that, then you go back to your plan phase. The next phase is the change phase, where you actually are implementing changes. Now, the workshop I did this week, that, by the way, the replay is available until the end of this week. I've just decided to extend that for everybody, but it's really about that phase of things specifically and how to reduce risks within those rollouts. So that's absolutely worth checking out. It's a big feature. Actually, almost the entire change section of this book deals with how to reduce risks within your deployments by following all the specific steps of the methodology. So I'm trying to think of like some things in here, but anyway, things like testing procedures and things like that. So it's important. It's important, right? So I do want to say on that front that people are often afraid to go back to a plan if they run into a challenge, which is one of the biggest mistakes I see people making. In fact, in the presentation, I go so much as to show you just how catastrophic that can be. Costing a company thousands of dollars and costing you your job. If only they would just had gone back and followed a good process, all that could have been avoided. So I walk you through that painful thing in the workshop. Which I wonder if I can just put that up on the screen here for a temporary kind of thing, or just yeah, I certainly can. So and I do this well. Hey, look at me. There we go. So just go to thrive-it.com/risk and get access to that. Now, the reason I bring that up is not only because it'll be free to review until Friday, but there also is an option if you want to just buy access to the replay. I will have that for you. And what that looks like is a edited copy of what went live. And so that'll be on there for that. And it's not very much. I think it's like $14 or something like that is what I put on for a price on that. Not very expensive, so it's a good way to get the access to that replay, but it also covers my costs and doing all this kind of stuff. There's also an option to go ahead and get a full course that I'll be developing out of this. And so you kind of using that workshop as kind of your first knowledge, and then I'll be walking through an actual scenario. And so we'll make this into a much bigger course out of that. So you'll be able to invest in that in a limited time price. Actually getting some other stuff here too soon about that. But by and large, it's all about reducing the risks in that change phase to get us to the next phase, which is the maintain phase. And that's when we know we've got things under control. Things are met the success criteria and understand. If it didn't meet the success criteria, guess what? We go back and we either change this criteria, or we make a better plan to do it, or we figure out a way to work around it, or whatever. But we always are going backwards before we force our way forward. So if we're not actually in a place of maintaining a steady state that we can say confidently met our criteria, we go back and we make it work. The companies that are unafraid to do this are the ones that are successful. The ones that are afraid to do this are the ones that ultimately end up spending more money and go through more staff and do all this just nastiness. So that's the methodology, the fourth key in all of what we preach here at Thrive IT. And so yeah, so that's what's going on. That was a long way to explain coaching, and I think I've done this in a previous video. In fact, I'm confident that I did this in a previous video before. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's repetition is the key, right? And so, aside from that, what we're working on is a way for people to be connecting meaningfully with not only me, but some other peers, some faces you'll be seeing more and more of in the coming weeks, hopefully. But we have some things going on that are hopefully a little more dialed in as far as what people want or need is probably the better way to say this. And so the goal here is to get to a place of serving you in information technology to grow your career in a meaningful way, not just giving you little pieces over here and not then, which is what we've been kind of doing up to this point. And so we'll be introducing what we're kind of calling a success path, which is where I might change the names to be more interesting, whatever. But basically the concept is we want to have some various ways for you to be advancing in your career. And a lot of people are sadly ignorant of what advancing in your IT career might look like. You have a lot of people that are in a role of maybe like programming or creating software, that sort of thing, and not realizing that they'd be more passionate about administering and actually solving problems that way, and vice versa. You might have some people that are administrators that really think their only pathway forward is to continue on that pathway and go on to being like, say, an architect or something like that. Well, a lot of people don't have that political acumen and all this kind of things that an architect actually needs to be successful. They don't want to necessarily be the ones that are creating design documentation and doing all those kind of interviewing users to figure out what the success criteria are and what their use case is and all these kind of things that architects need to be doing. And the average administrator may not be all that passionate about that, wouldn't be. They would just end up in a role that they shouldn't be in. And so they just end up miserable. And I believe firmly that one of the reasons we're seeing so many problems in information technology, not only with turnover, but of tribal knowledge. We're seeing a lot of depression. We're seeing a lot of drug usage. We're seeing a lot of infidelity in marriages, and all these kind of problems that are coming up in information technology that I think really boil down to people are working in areas they're not happy with because they don't have a plan. They don't have a good way to literally apply my methodology to their careers. So it really is important. Like, if you can't do this, if you can't see your way through, what a pathway is, make a plan for it, and then make changes in your life, you're never really going to maintain a good career, are you? See what I did there? That was punny, but hey, it works, right? So it's really important for you to be able to have a full grasp of all these things. And so in terms of how to do that, Jeff and I especially have been going through a training program for this. And so we believe we have a good way forward with this. And what that looks like is going to be kind of in flux, which is a bit of why I wanted to share some stuff with you today. But before that, let me just kind of reset the room, I guess you could say, and say that, again, my name is DJ, and I am a IT guy. But more importantly, I am a coach, and that's what I am at heart. Through all my public speaking, through all of my writing, through all of the things that I do, producing content, it is something that I'm a coach at heart. And so what I'll do here is I will actually advance my way through where I should be in my presentation, or the files, and kind of work through some things. As you see a QR code up on the screen there, I wanted to kind of explain more what this is about. So big stretch. I'm going to now show you what is going to go on with Thrive IT for the next few months. In fact, this kind of is like a year-long game plan. So I want to actually go through this here. So let's run it. So now for something completely different. I wonder if I should put on some background music here. We need some chill stuff here to kind of give us some good mood here. So I'll throw that on the background and hope it works. All right. So now for something different. I want to address some really big real world challenges that are information technology. And so what I've done is created already existing products and some things that are along this line. But here, let me explain why. Because we always want to start with why. And what I'm seeing is in information technology, a lot of people are being what I call voluntold. They are actually being brought into roles. They're being brought onto technology and everything like that without really an initial desire of doing that. It's just because other staff have moved on. It's because, there's just somebody needs to learn it. It's a new toy in the organization. Sometimes it's like, hey, we bought this thing. You need to learn it. You've been voluntold. You're volunteering. I'm telling you that you're volunteering. It's what voluntold means. So it's something that actually, especially in the last 3 years, for reasons that, gosh, I can't explain why, you've seen very much an increase of this. In fact, what you're seeing is people that are having to increase what they know because other people have been let go and they're left kind of holding the bill, I guess you could say. They have to be doing their job already and then learn something else. And sometimes it has to do with career growth as well. But a lot of times what it looks like for me, it's really more career by accident. Some people are really, I was having a conversation last night with someone actually about this, but some people are really in a war of attrition here. And you can call it what you want. You can call it quiet quitting. You can call it, I'm just waiting for that promotion. I'm waiting for others to quit. whatever that looks like, you're stuck in a place of waiting for others, and you're not in control of that. You're essentially relying on handouts and hoping that you don't get laid off. Not great, right? Not a great position to be in. So with that, I'm also seeing an increase in obsession with certifications that really don't do anything. Most of them are really just kind of lies. It's just really they benefit the software vendors more than anything else. They're not really doing anything to get you forward in your career. Now, in some cases, if it is, like I said, in that first M, that mastery, if you need to prove mastery to somebody in a hiring process, these are not the kind of people that understand what you know. And so sometimes certification is necessary, or at least good references or something like that. But honestly, the thing about these is that people mistake their certifications for what will keep you from being fired. And that's just not true. You can't, if you learn something new technology, and you're already in an organization, getting a certification in almost no cases will well, we can't fire them. They're the one that's certified. That doesn't work that way. That's not real. And so this obsession with certification is not necessarily beneficial for people's careers. And then you have what I call the crab bucket. And I'm going to go right back into the mindset part of what we're talking about today. And this really is, the notion of the crab bucket is when you are in a, crab bucket is like if you have a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one of them starts to climb out, the other crabs will grab him or her and bring them back down into the bucket. That's kind of the mentality I'm seeing with a lot of jobs out there in general, but also just a mindset of a lot of people in information and technology. You don't want to go into management. Management is the enemy, right? So it keeps us scared to move forward. A couple of weeks ago on YouTube, I introduced a video that is all about just this concept of you being the average of your 5 closest friends. And it's a saying that's going around, but it's actually not the right saying. The actual saying is that, with Jim Rohn, is that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Again, this is both the mentoring part of this, but also more importantly, the mindset part of this, where you are affected by the people that you spend time with. And guess what? Most people out there spend more time with their work colleagues than with their spouse or with their friends. So that's important to know that is having an impact on it. And if you can't change it, then it's important to increase your mindset and spend more meaningful time with the people that will increase your average. Otherwise, you'll just be stuck. So here's what I'm doing. I am teaching some things like we've talked about today that other people aren't teaching. If you know someone that's teaching the same kind of things, please let me know. I'd love to bring them on board. But right now, I'm just not seeing it out there. I'm not seeing people teach these 4 key things, including a methodology that will keep you from relying on trying to prove what you know all the time. The story here is that when it comes to specifically my work, the Citrix and Microsoft certifications, the only times I've ever had to have those is when I was working for someone who was reselling that technology. The only times I actually needed it. In other words, for all the times I've done consulting work and high-level work for high-level customers in the Fortune 50 even, no one asked for my certification. I was put there as an authority. I wasn't really like, oh yeah, we have a consultant lined up for you, and they're asking, oh, okay, well, what's the certification? It didn't happen. All right. It was really more being in the right place at the right time and proving what I know, not just putting it on a piece of paper or whatever. And so having a methodology is how I did that, how I can apply things to the real world. It was far more important for every customer for me to go in and say, hey, you know what? Tell me about your needs. Tell me what your environment looks like today. Tell me what your users are needing. Let me sit down with them and actually understand what their use cases actually are, so we can not make assumptions and reduce the amount of risks. every project owner, C-level person that's ever encountered that with me has always been blown away and grateful for that. And that's what I want to teach people, is how to do these kind of things. So these, what I was talking about earlier about the soft skills, are more valuable than you think. So tech skills are kind of worthless if you don't have a way to apply that. And again, I've written books, even some audiobook stuff, and there's more stuff coming, by the way. I've been running these monthly workshops that each one will tackle a kind of, call them soft skills, whatever. It's more of just an application area in technology that other people aren't teaching. And so this is a really important thing, and that's why I do them once a month. It's important stuff. These are being expanded into courses. We're going to be doing some virtual summits later this year. We're working on some sponsors and some other content to bring others in and have other mentors that can help you with that, with your career, but also even in some cases, working on some mastery. Again, I don't want to be the one that's teaching the mastery anymore. I want to be the person who's bringing everybody in. I want to be that kind of a central point, I guess you could say. And so we're looking at doing some virtual summits and a bunch of stuff that I can't really talk about yet. And it's also kind of combat something I'm seeing a lot of is the most commonly asked question in webinars, things like that, is always like, can I get access to the replay or things like that? And so I'm actually taking that another step and saying, you know what, there's more we can do with that. And so I put you all through this to give you what I'm doing next, which is to tell you what we're doing here and what is going on right now, this week only. And it is a bundle of stuff. And so what this looks like is all of the replays of all these workshops. They're not free. I have costs in doing these things. It's something that I'm spending time with. You know, I don't believe that people should be spending their time without being rewarded. I don't want you to go to work and not work for free. So I don't work for free either. So even with these monthly workshops, I do give a free access to that because I want to give back to the community as much as I can. But long term, this is something that it requires some money. And so what I'm doing is some premium replays of all those, where there's like some nice edits and upgrades and things like that are, you know, averaging about $100 a month or so. This last month, it was actually less because it's such a key lesson. I wanted to get it in the hands of more people, basically. And so I took a hit on that. It's only $49, but it'll vary. But that's usually the cost of getting access to that premium replay that's edited into lessons that are basically under about 10 to 15 minutes each. I want it to be something you can consume over your lunch hour or whatever that looks like. Same thing with courses. So a lot of these workshops are actually being made into courses. And the average price of those is usually about $199 each. It'll vary. Again, it depends on the topic and how much is involved. I did a documentation workshop last month, for example, that I'm offering for $199, but ultimately when I upgrade it, it'll be much more than that because it's being expanded to a great degree. So there's also things like virtual summit replays. That's where you can, okay, so there's a big summit. What do you do with all these videos? Well, we just make them into a thing, right? And so I don't know what to say about that. Usually it's $99 each, that sort of thing. But so there's that. But there's also, I mentioned the community aspect. And so what I want to say here is that we have an emerging online community that is not just a place to go and get troubleshooting tips. Unfortunately, a lot of companies out there and a lot of other people in my space think that a community is a Slack channel that you belong to, or a forum. Do you go in your neighborhood out the door and wonder who's on Slack? No, you're looking at your neighbors, right? That's what a community is. And so that's what I want to build, is a more meaningful community online for people that are in information technology. And I don't care what specific area you're in, because again, it really is about building that sense of mastery as part of a mechanism to get things, to get a good methodology, to get your mindset increasing, to get that mentoring involved in your life so you can grow your career. So the mastery is really just a mechanism. It's an excuse, if you will. And so Same kind of thing with community. I don't want that to be so focused on the technology that it is only that. I want to push other stuff forward ahead of that, which is more just being in like-minded groups. In other words, increasing your average. The other thing about this that is kind of really fun, a lot of you that have seen us for a while now, you know that we have access to all these experts in our lives. And so whenever we're doing video interviews, either for private interviews that we're not showing, which there are many of, or it is something where we're recording a broadcast or recording something to be broadcast on YouTube, for example. What we now have the ability to do is bring people on backstage. In other words, you'll have the ability to be viewing the interview as it's taking place, be able to send chat messages and whatever to interact. And then once we're done with the video, I have the capability of bringing you on stage. And so you can actually interact with those experts and the people that you're inspired by in the world. So it's exclusive access that you wouldn't normally get. So that's a cool way to do that, but also a lot of other things that go into that. But probably the thing I'm most excited about, and the reason I'm doing all these live broadcasts this week, is to kind of show an example as much as I can with this forum of some office hours that I'll be doing. And this is going to be most likely 2 hours long for me, but you'll have some options in this. The first hour will be a kind of first come, first serve kind of access to me. In other words, it's like a Zoom room, if you've ever experienced this, where you'll just be waiting to be let in, and it's a waiting room, right? So first person is there, I just let them in. We do some one-on-one coaching. I figure out what you're stuck with, what kind of things are going on. How can I help you be more excited about your career, or what pathways to take, or about your life. It's a private thing, it's not recorded or anything like that. It's just one-to-one. And so again, first come, first serve for that hour. And so if you're part of this group, then you would have access to me with that. That's something that honestly, for a few of you viewing this have probably likely been in coaching with me, and that I usually don't do that for anything less than one-on-one time is usually at about $300 an hour. So there's a lot of value there, but because of the way I can do this, it's accessible for more people. So yeah, whatever it takes for you that day, we make the arrangements and do that. And then for the second hour is group coaching, which is a way we can bring everybody in and talk about things that are going on, do learning times, but also have a time where we can engage each other as kind of a mastermind format. Saying, oh, this person has this challenge going on in their lives, or this difficult project. They're having some difficulty with their boss in this area, whatever. We can, as a group, help support them. And again, with that mentoring thing that I mentioned earlier, it's really a lot easier to learn how to be a good mentor by mentoring, or to be a good mentee by mentoring others, right? So this is a way to practice that out. So basically this thickens up the plot a little bit, right? This makes it even bigger. So you have all of these workshops, all these kind of things that are going on, and this private online community right now, the proposed launch price of this is going to be about $29 a month, and this is kind of a locked-in price. As it expands and it gets more of the learning kind of latched onto it, in other words, that success path I was talking about earlier, the goal is to get that into that online community. And so that will become worth more and more towards the area of like $100 a month with that. And so, but if you lock your price in with this, what I'm doing, your price is always going to be $29, regardless of how much the program increases in the future, which is kind of cool. Just our way of saying thanks for being patient as we build it. And so then the concept of these the coaching, which is really, in my mind, one of the most valuable pieces of this. As I've priced this out, it's really been about $250 a month. And what did I take that from? Well, I took that from a model, I'll be completely honest with you, of a company called BetterHealth. And this has been the average of what they charged me a month for hour-long therapy sessions with my therapist when I was going through that. I thought that was a good initial price point. It'll probably go up, but that's the price point there. So that's what that is. But just like our friend Billy Mays says, but wait, there's more. And this is where it gets really, really crazy. So it's a bunch of things that I've got. So why not just bundle them all in? Why not just have them all out there for you? So all the video archives from the Citrotira membership, the book itself on PDF, or actually I'll probably have a discount for you if you want to just get the physical copy as well. The Just Do This book that I've been talking about this session, all the VIP courses with that's actually something that's being added on to within the next few months is a way to we're going to basically to give you a little preview of this. We're going to be walking through a story. I'm writing a novel about a hospital system, right? That has some challenges. And so what I'm going to be doing is there's some things that kind of fit with the story, but they were too technical, and I decided to take them out of the book. Well, what I'm going to be doing is putting them into a video course. And so that will be kind of a upgrade from the standard bonus course with the book. It'll be kind of a add-on kind of a thing. It'll be really awesome because it'll be a way to learn how to apply the methodology to a real world like scenario in as we go here. So that's cool with that. I already have a course out there that's focused on what we talked about earlier with the understand phase, the little bits inside of that where you're assessing what's going on in your environment or somebody else's. Either way, same methodology or process is used. How to present those findings professionally to management, things like that, and how to document those findings. There's a format that I've been taught that actually I think was game changing for my career, and this is something that I walk people through. And so that course is out there today, and just let you know, I'll be doing an upgrade of that course, and so it'll be version 2. Same thing with I mentioned earlier with the IT documentation workshop that's being made into an advanced class, so it's stretched out a little bit. So so here's all the things that we're doing. I'm speeding up because you've already seen a lot of this, but it is honestly one of those things where there's just so much stuff that I have out there. It's one of the things where you realize is like, wow, I have a lot of stuff out there. That's cool. I've been doing this a while apparently. And so you have all these things like the literature program plus the book. That's available. You can go out and buy that right now at ctx.academy. And that's, to get both of them, it's $79, and you can get that right now. Same thing with the Just Do This book. It's out there on Amazon, or you can order it directly from me. Either way, there's courses there. The premium courses bring the kind of total package with the audio and all the video, up to about $299. And then I mentioned the assessment and presentation course. That is actually increasing in price. Actually, just increased in price. Because this next phase of the course is going to increase the price of this. And so I'm letting people lock in. It was like $299. I'm doing a temporary thing with this where it's $499, but the end price will be at least $999. And I'll explain a little bit about this in a moment here. But same thing with the documentation course where it was at $99 and it'll be $199 when it go live. So, and there I am blocking it, but you can imagine. So the total value, to hide myself here, myself back here. That QR code right there, or just go to thrive-it.com/4DFC23. Don't ask me. It's just an internal code that I just decided to make the thing because it's a very temporary thing. Because this is going away on October 6th. You have until that length of time to get out on this. So kind of important, right? So now there's another upgrade here. Some of you have been following me and are in the end user computing space. And I mentioned the whole like being voluntold to just deploy this technology. And you're taking over a complex system with no knowledge sometimes, or sometimes it's just something so new that it's really difficult to really know how to approach it, right? And so a lot of times what you'll see here is you're not confident about what's going on here, about how this should work, about how it was built out, or in some cases you're being asked to troubleshoot things that you have no idea. You don't know why it's slow. It just is slow. I hear this a lot in a lot of surveys, a lot of things. People are saying they're too old to learn new things, but a lot of times they're in a position where they know they need to learn something new to do this, or you're overwhelmed. It's one of the things where sometimes your work will offer a boot camp to send you through, and then what ends up happening is that you end up answering trouble tickets the whole time, or getting calls, or have to take meetings, and you missed half of the boot camp. I've seen this happen. I've been through this process of teaching boot camps. That's why I don't do it anymore. I don't, because I'm so frustrated with seeing people not get the value out of it because they couldn't even be in the room. So I'm done with that, done with those kind of things. Just spoiler alert. And then sometimes it's just a matter of just, that's needed. Your boss wants to know what to do, and you're just not confident about which vendor to choose, or even where to start with it. And so these are the kind of things that I'm hearing over and over and over and over and over again. And guess what? Nobody seems to be addressing. Everybody does so has an agenda. And they'll try to be selling you a product, right? They're trying to do that. Well, I wanted to do something different. And so I want to take, oddly enough, a lot of the concepts that were in Be a Citrix Hero had nothing to do with Citrix. They have everything to do with the underlying technology and the underlying methodology, the things you need to know to do it well, and the things you need to be asking questions about to be able to do it well. So it's kind of ironic about that, but again, take a step back and say, wait a minute, let's go back to our methodology here and take a better understanding of what people need. And is it really limited to just Citrix? And the answer is no. So what this is, it's foundations of why things are done before you actually do them. So in other words, going through that exact methodology with this and not making assumptions along the way. You really are just taking a step back and saying, the white paper says this, or the sales engineer that I was working with said do this. Is that right? Does that really apply to what I need here? And honestly, the honest truth is, I'll let you a little secret here. We get full screen here. Most of these technologies, they kind of just deploy themselves. That's just the way it is nowadays. Your knowledge of how to deploy things or configure them is getting very, very small, but your knowledge on how they should be done to match a use case, well, that's something they haven't figured out how to do with AI yet. So, hey, that's you, buddy. That's you. All right. So in terms of that goes really determining the success criteria we talked about earlier. So if you don't know where you're going, you're just kind of randomly driving, right? Would you do that on a road? Would you just have no map? Would you have no GPS and just kind of point your car and just hope for the best? No. Same thing with your business. You want to make sure that you're applying a technology that actually meets business goals. Otherwise, you're just wasting everybody's time, including yours. So getting to know your users' needs and how they relate to the business is really key. And really getting those kind of things you need to know behind the scenes too. Saying, okay, well, what kind of tunings should I be doing? What kind of vendors can I be bringing in addition to what I decide to work with, or whatever. These kind of things that apply no matter what you end up doing, whatever partner you work with, and how to engage these people. And that's something that has some opportunities coming up here that'll be great for you to start seeing how you don't have to lock yourself into just one thing, and you can actually work with these vendors to actually convince your your leadership that it is important to go best in class with a lot of things and be specific about why you're doing things. But just saying you should just because they're cool doesn't work. Pointing them towards an actual reason why is really key. And there are just universal things that are true. I mean, if you're using Windows operating system in a virtual kind of way, hey, guess what? There's things you can do to make that experience better that doesn't happen out of the box. So there's all these things that are across all vendors. Bite-sized lessons. In other words, like what I was saying earlier, I don't want this to be something where it is just, a boot camp kind of thing and you're whatever. Yeah, I want to make sure that these lessons are all under an hour. In fact, honestly, my goal with most of these lessons is to be under 20 minutes each. So it's easy to find where you are and continue and not feel like you're overwhelmed. It's really important to me. Now, of course, there's lots more with this, but let's go through this real quick. So, again, all the kind of things that are here, and again, things like some of the stuff, it's arbitrary pricing. Yeah, duh. Nobody else doing this. I'm the only one doing some of these kind of things. How do you price that? I don't know. We'll discover it as we go, right? And so a lot of these kind of things like coaching are just like, how do you price access to somebody that it's me. How are you going to get access to me otherwise? I don't know. There's always a way, but you price that as you price it. And the other things that are actually all there in the market. So the big question is, okay, DJ, this EUC fundamentals thing, it's like teetering on the edge of technology, but not. It's a applied methodology. It's unique. What in the world, how are you going to do this? And the answer I've come up with is that the EUC Hero course will most likely be sold for $4,999. Now, to bring that all in perspective, that's all $11,397. I don't have that money laying around for me. I wouldn't expect you to have that either. But at the same time, if you can tell something here, if you've already been paying close enough attention, you know where I'm going with this. And this is kind of where I want to just, for a brief moment, come back into full screen with me here and say, this is one of the last times that I'll be focusing in on selling these products to individuals. I'm getting out of that. That's the other big reveal, is that I'm going to start working with companies directly. So a lot of you have said that, I really love this kind of stuff, but honestly, it's up to my boss to buy this. I'm not comfortable investing on my own, all these kind of things. And so a couple of things with that. One is I always want to work with people that want to invest in themselves. I've made a policy for many years now to invest no less than 5% of my yearly income back into my own personal development. I want that to be a thing. I want people to have skin in the game. But at the same time, I've recognized that the programs I'm offering are higher level things that just have a level of expense that's not reachable or practical for a lot of people that are out there. And so this is kind of my last attempt at bringing this in front of people to kind of, it's almost like a stimulus package kind of thing. And so will this happen again in the future? I have no idea. But the honest truth is, as far as an effort and things like that these kind of things are put into, especially when it comes to developing things like this, these courses and things like that, the amount of work is immense. They take months, sometimes even years to make, but the knowledge that's being put into these are really how I brought myself from the point of like being a small-time engineer that was just basically administrating a bunch of Citrix environments to making 45, maybe 50,000 a year with no hope of going forward, to all of a sudden, he says in air fingers quotes, like it's, just happened overnight. It happened with a long learning process is what happened. It happened over years of me finally figuring things out, of getting to the point where I could say, yeah, 6 figures was in the rearview mirror. It was more of just like, I'll just say there was years where I was operating at more like, $250,000 a year plus from doing consulting work in IT. How's that possible? Well, that's possible when you build up a reputation and knowledge that you are worth it. And so that's the kind of things that I really want to unlock for people. And so when it comes to that, so the other part of this is the backstage program, along with the thing I just mentioned. So if you're in the end user computing space, it is worthwhile for you to pay attention to the next 30 seconds. They're going to change your life. So instead of being an overall value, combining those of $11,000, $39,300. This is such a huge number. I can't even conceive it. $11,000, $397, $11,397. I can speech well. Hey, you know what? I'm not paid to do that, right? This will be one-time payment of $9.99. And so for those of you that are ready to make that level of investment, that's for you. If you need to split that up into some monthly payments, I am offering kind of that 3-month financing, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, a hair fingers quote financing of $349 each for 3 months. And so some of you out there that are still watching with me here, you want to know why. And in fact, if you have any questions and you're here with me or after the fact, put them in the chat or your comments or whatever it looks like on your platform. I know I have people viewing on YouTube and Twitch today, oddly enough. So feel free to put those questions or anything like that you have in there. We'll have some other opportunities throughout the week. But most people just want to know why the discount. And let me go this here. Let me go here. So there's all these primary reasons, right? There's well, okay, let's break these down here. So economic strangeness, it's only going to get worse, right? It's not going to get like magically better anytime soon. I think we all know that, right? There's not this magic ability for everything to just snap and come back into place. It's going to take years to recover from this crap we've been going through. And I don't think that, I don't see prices going down anytime soon. In fact, I've already been told that, my current consulting rates, for example, are falling behind. I haven't increased my rates in several years, and I need to look at doing that even when I'm doing that kind of consulting work. So I know the prices are going to go up. So this is kind of like a let's do this now while I can kind of thing. The other thing is that really, I think, like I mentioned, I am not going to be focusing in on selling this to individuals. Now, if you are looking at this offer and saying, gosh, is this something where I can just have my work pay for this? The answer is probably yes. You can email me at dj@thrive-it.com if you need more details. But on almost all cases, there will be certificates involved. There is, I'm in talks with Credly, who is by Pearson, to provide external certificates and that sort of thing of completion. So that means that if you are looking to apply credits for continuing education, that sort of thing, those possibilities are coming up. But again, these are things that cost money and time to develop, and so they will be there. And so if you take advantage now, you will have access to them. But obviously, it's something where that level of expense and that complexity, I have to increase my prices to match that, and that's where things will come into place as far as the companies are involved. But if you want to get in now, yes, it is possible. And I'm allowing this time only. I'm not going to be doing this in the future where I allow companies to pay these lowered prices. But that is something that this particular time around, I am allowing. Now, there's some exceptions to that. If they need like an invoice for a number of people, I'll want to talk to them next week. I'm doing a special kind of extension of this. There'll be different pricing, but it'll be more towards companies. I'll be doing that next week. So if that's something that you want to know, just do that. So anyway, why is this a limited time? Why this discount? Why so huge? Why only this week? And that's because I want people that are action takers. I don't want people that are just going to buy this and just do nothing with it. I I don't want to have this offer just sitting out there for all the time and hope it works or whatever. I want people that are ready right now. They want to learn from me, and the reason why is that I want to have things like testimonials. I want to have the feedback. I want to have, if this isn't working, I want to know what will work. If I'm going to be selling this to companies and not individuals, guess what? It's got to work, but it's also got to have the kind of things that are like, whether the testimonials or reviews or just feedback privately to me, it's valuable because I only want people that are actually invested to give me this feedback. If you're out there and you're not buying from me and you're just kind of just viewing it for free, how much is your feedback actually worth to me? You're not invested in this process. You don't care enough to me. So that's just what I want. I want people that are actually invested. So I'm lowering the barrier to that to be very, very low, but there's still some investment, right? But anyway, those testimonials are really key to make better products, right? So that's what we want to do. But those recommendations are hugely worth it for me. In other words, your recommendation, your testimonial, your reviews of these are hugely valuable because those are the kind of things that companies are looking for, right? They're looking to see that others are going through this or have already gone through it. They don't want to be first. So, I'm giving a huge discount for those that are willing to be first and willing to give me the feedback and recommendation. It's so worth it. So, again, let me put this up here again. The options for you here. So if it's something where you're not really in the end user computing space, but you want to increase your IT career, hey, that's great. This is what we're all about right now, right? This is really the focus. That's where that Backstage VIP really comes into play. This is for you. It's one-time payment of $4.99. It's a 92% discount. So it's a big deal. Now, if you're in the end user computing space, comboing with that, if you're seeing between the lines here, you'll see that a lot of the programs that I'm offering in the Backstage VIP will be integrated into the EUC Hero package. And so that's why it's not being sold separately right now. Down the road, who knows? Maybe I'll do something with that special. But as a premium course that's being offered, I don't want to do that yet. It was a risk just for me to do this way, but I feel it's important enough to start gathering the right feedback from people and start putting all these stories together, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be telling a story again. And so that's really the way we're going to be doing this on that platform for that course. And so we're going to be walking through scenarios and stories. And like, say, for example, you want to see what the process looks like of determining, gosh, what vendor would make sense in a scenario like this? Well, if you don't know the scenario, then you don't have any ability to make a decision other than, people think it's a cool toy. I want to end that. I want to get rid of that. So I want this to be an applied methodology class. And so we're going to walk through some scenarios where you'll have this healthy hospital scenario where you're going to see how the solution was come to like a conclusion of like what vendor was best based on their actual use cases, not based on, well, they were just the cheapest, or they were just the most popular, or, whatever. There's who the administrator knew the best. Real decisions, real reasons, real tangible things you can take to your leadership and say, here's what to do. But also, more importantly, and probably most importantly, again, those portable skill sets. I know so many people right now that are, in fact, I've literally been in engagements with people lately that are on like Microsoft AVD, for example, and the needs of their business evolve. And now all of a sudden, what they really need is the Citrix delivery solution instead. Well, they don't have the skill set behind them. If they don't have that core, and I'm not talking about the bits of Citrix that are different from AVD. I'm talking the underlying notion of what everything does, how it works, and what is true about the user's needs and how to respond to those. If they don't have a foundation of that, then you're kind of just all stuck and having to learn it all over again. It's not good. So I want to have you have portable skill sets the same kind of way that I took my knowledge of what I knew deploying Exchange email boxes back in the early 2000s. I apply that same methodology to what I do for Fortune 50 companies today. I want you to have that same kind of confidence, that same kind of knowledge. So I do encourage you to use that QR code right there if you want to get access to this flash sale, or just go to thrive-it.com/40FC23. And that's what I have for you on that today. I'm going to take this down. If you need to take a screenshot or whatever, feel free to. I'm going to leave the QR code up there, but I'm going to come back in with the end of the session since I've already gone on quite a ways. Checking the chat. It's not seeing any questions. Hopefully this is reflecting of anybody who's out there and watching, and hopefully if you've chatted something live, it's coming across here. If not, I'll try and check through in later on. But here's the thing: I'll be doing this same time this week, every day this week. So if you have questions, I may not do the full pitch every day, but I might do these pieces of it. I want you to get access to this. I want this to be something that you take action on. So I encourage you right now to go do this. Take advantage. It's important. If nothing else, throw out everything else. If anything else, just to get access to me during the coaching times is worth far more than $4.99, and it's worth it to me because I get that feedback. Right? Do you see the exchange of value here? It's not just about me giving or putting out a product. It's about us working together to make it better for your needs. And so if you want to be one of those people that shapes the future of Thrive IT and what I'm doing with Just Do This as a brand, literally, feel free to join me. But I only want those people that are actually truly invested and want to take action. So this is your litmus test right now. So I encourage you to do that. So I'll be back live tomorrow on all these platforms. I'm on YouTube, LinkedIn, I think X. I think I'm live on X. It looks like maybe that feed didn't actually work today. I'll have to look into that, see what's going on. But Twitch on there as well, just because you know what? I want this message to be out for everybody. So tomorrow we're going to do more coaching time. So I encourage you to join me at noon Central Time. We'll walk through some challenges people have, and hopefully we'll have some people that want to join me even on the stage here to actually go on live on video, which is something my platform allows me to do even when I'm broadcasting live to multiple different channels. It's just kind of awesome like that. So yeah, so thanks again. One more time, I'll put this up here. What I don't have on the screen, I do. Sorry, I do have it on the screen, very top of the screen. Pricing is only valid until October 6th, 2023 at midnight, and then it's gone. So you can take your time and decide, but I encourage you not to. I encourage you to go for this now. If it's going to work for you, it's going to work for you, right? And we will do whatever it takes to make it work for you. That's the commitment I have here. This is a premium product, even if it's not a premium price. This is something where I want to work with you, and so there it is. Awesome. Thanks for being with me here today, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow if you want to come and learn new things. I'll be talking about, I'm not just going to rehash everything from today. I'm going to actually talk again tomorrow about new things, and so we'll be working through, and I'm vamping because I can't remember exactly what the topic was for tomorrow, but it'll be on the description for the event. Got these scheduled on all platforms, so I encourage you to check that out. Let me also put on, this is always a risk, but I'll probably end up taking these videos down. So let me go ahead and put this up again. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. So again, thank you so much, and we will see you tomorrow. Only if I click end stream and actually, do this the right way.